So I'm a PhD student at FSU in the departments of psychology and philosophy, and I basically study the science of philosophy, but also the philosophy of science. Yeah, so FSU has something that not all universities offer, which is like this really good relationship between all of the departments that fall under what people call cognitive science. So psychology, neuroscience, computer science, philosophy, anthropology, etc. So at philosophy there's, for instance, like an experimental philosophy group, there's an experimental economics group, and then there's a philosophy, neuroscience, and psychology group. And these groups kind of get together with members of various departments and discuss how their research and their tools can kind of address some central questions and puzzles in each of their fields about how belief works, or how judgment works, or how decision making works. And so as someone who studies cognitive science, it was important that I go to a place that has such strong relationships between all the departments in cognitive science. So I didn't really have any aspirations to get a graduate degree growing up. So I come from a working class family. My mom had a couple 4-year degrees. My dad had a 2-year degree. I worked like jobs like construction through high school and college. And I didn't really think that grad school would help me in those jobs. But at some point in college I realized that I think I find research and teaching more rewarding than my other career opportunities. And grad school is sort of like getting paid to research and teach, so it's almost like living the dream. I say almost living the dream because graduate students don't get paid that much, so one of the other reasons I'm getting a graduate degree is because it increases my chances of getting a living wage to pursue the dream. I think the advice I would give is to, one, seek advice, but in particular seek advice from people who are doing what you think you would be doing. So for example, email graduate students of the programs that you're applying to and ask them really tough questions, right? So if you're worried about whether you could make things work on a graduate stipend from their program, ask if other graduate students have had difficulties making that work. Or if you have reason to be worried about things like discrimination or harassment, like ask those questions. And I think people would be surprised at how honest graduate students and others will be about their experiences, and how helpful that can be in helping people make their decision about where to go to grad school, or even whether to go to grad school. So graduate school is definitely a full-time job. I mean, I work 40 to 60 hours a week. On a usual day I get up around 6 or 7 and I listen to the news while I drink my coffee and get to campus. And while I'm at work, I'm doing what you think I'm doing, like reading and writing and grading and going to classes and talking with colleagues about what we're working on, collecting data, analyzing data, managing email. You get the idea. Sometimes you travel to present your research or to learn new methods. And I'd say most days I try to leave or stop working by around 4 or 5 so that I still have time to, say, exercise or eat dinner and spend time unwinding with my partner. But sometimes I have to stay pretty late, so I think I got home around 9 p.m. last night. But that's hopefully the exception. There's a lot of people that have helped me along the way, so obviously think people like family, but faculty, staff, even students. So the groups of people that come to mind right now are like my advisors, who have taught me a lot about how the field works, and about our own research about the mind, but also like my students, right? So I'm finding that they just often surpass my expectations when I kind of let them take responsibility for learning and even teaching the material to one another, like in group discussions or in group activities. And that really just kind of inspires me to think about how reasoning works and how learning works in my own research.